Well, good evening and welcome to TalkSports. Well, we greet you with the sad news of the passing of a former national basketballer, Mr. Dave McQuarrie. It was really a shocker to many, and the news came out this afternoon, and certainly the sporting fraternity in Grenada mourns the passing of Dave McQuarrie. And Dave represented Grenada for many years, sport of basketball, played in the Windward Islands tournament and various regional tournaments, as well as it was a staple in local basketball, especially in the parish of St. John. And I'm certain that it's a shock to many of those in the sporting fraternity in Grenada, especially in the sport of basketball. And no doubt we want to express and convey condolences to his family and close friends in Grenada. So tonight we'll be talking some cricket, hopefully. We should be getting on with Mr. Roland Sampath in a moment to talk West Indies cricket. Well, all about West Indies cricket now is have to be basically sad because it has not been, what we needed at this time. Yeah, so, there were high hopes for West Indies as the defending champions in the T20 World Championships. And when I say we, I was talking about West Indies fans, were certainly looking forward to having something good to cheer about from Team West Indies, but it seems not, because wasn't what was expected, I should say, from Team West Indies. A very poor performance. And for many, it appears that, it wasn't the best team, but that's the debate. Was it the best team that was sent to the World Cup? It's, it's gone and dusted now. We know who the finalists are. Australia and New Zealand will contest the final. It was a very gripping game today between Pakistan and Australia. New Zealand got rid of England. So the folks down under will contest the final. That's Australia and New Zealand. But the conversation and debate will continue of whether or not West Indies fielded its best possible team, albeit some players were injured. And there was the argument whether whether Holder should have been a reserve, whether he should have been in the starting squad, and what's about Sulan Narayan and all the others, But that again is a conversation to be had, and it's only time will tell, because remember, they are preparing now for the next phase of the T20 World Cup. When I say the next phase, because this one was a delayed one. So the 2022 World Cup will actually be in Australia. And the conversation now is that what should the selectors be doing, what they should be looking at, who they should be looking at, for the T20 World Cup in Australia. That's in 2022. Then only this week we understand that the Cricket West Indies, they, along with, I think, the United States, they are looking to bid for the, I can't remember which one, but a T20 World Cup. Yeah, I can't remember which year. But they are also looking for, and they got support from Cannock and others, okay, for the T20 World Cup. Again, the conversation will continue as to was it the right team that the selectors sent to the World Cup to represent the West Indies at the World Cup? Was it? I know the conversation started even before the team, had left. When the team was selected, there was the what's about and what's about this and what's about who and things like that. So whether the Gales and the Bravo and the Fletchers and those that they considered to be the end of their career, whether or not it was the right decision. Well, again, some of these guys were the previous World Cup. Most of them were in the previous World Cup, and I guess as much we are so accustomed. When I say we are so accustomed, West Indies fans just want to be winning, And once the team is not winning, they'll be looking for the excuses. Whether it's the selectors, hardly the players get blamed. Always the selectors, and things. But again, that's another issue to be dealt with. So Mr. Sampath wrote in his column, and which we're supposed to be chatting with him. Hopefully, we get him on in a moment. He says that he's calling on cricket West Indies selectors to start focusing on a new nucleus of players ahead of the 2022 T20 World Cup in Australia. He says the West Indies 2021 T20 World Cup campaign did not unfold according to plan, as a dismal effort saw the regional team end with just one win from 5 matches. West Indies, winners in 2012 and 2016, did not advance to the semi-finals. West Indies fielded what he considered an experienced team, as 7 of the players who made the trip to United Arab Emirates for the tournament were 33 or older. They included Dwayne Bravo, now retired, Chris Gale, Captain Kieron Pollard, Andre Fletcher, Andre Russell, Lyndon Simmons, and Ravi Rampal. Gale was the oldest player in the squad at 42. He says the CWI selectors were under the microscope when the squad was selected, as people, including former West Indies players, voiced their opinion on the team selected. Many felt Gale should have been left in the Caribbean, and others thought Jason Holder should have been in the original 15-man squad. During the tournament, Holder, who was initially one of 4 traveling reserves, was drafted into the squad for injured fast bowler Obed McCoy. I'm quoting Mr. Sampath as saying now that right now, off the bat, I could tell you some of the players I would like West Indies to look at for the next World Cup, and this is based on fitness and form. He named Evan Lewis, Shai Hope, Nicholas Puran, Shimon Hitmire, Ruston Chase, Jason Holder, Kieron Pollard, Darren Bravo, Shaved Rutherford, Romario Shepard, Odean Smith, Akil Hussain, and it's McCoy, Fabian Allen, and Brandon King as players CWI should invest in. I'm quoting again. These are the nucleus of players they should start focusing on. These are the guys who are there, Sampath added. Hope, Rutherford, Shepard, Smith, and King were named on the 15-man squad for the World Cup. Darren Bravo was a reserve, and Allen was forced out by injury before the tournament bowled off. Rutherford, Smith, and Sunil Narayan were not considered because of illness. Let me quote him again as saying, I'm of the view that whilst we may not have quality pacers, one would realize, although it is T20, spinners are playing a very important part wherever in the world they are playing. Good spinners are an important factor. We are still harping on pace and pop hitting. We have to evolve with time. So he's saying that spin, pace bowling, West Indies have been relying on pace bowling, while the others have been, pace bowling and power hitting, I should say, while the opponents have been, margin pace bowling and spin bowling as well, while West Indies have just been relying on the on the pace attack. So some very interesting comments there from Mr. Sampath, and hoping that I think he's having some issues getting onto the program, but we'll see if we can somehow we can get him on some of the time, because right. So let's see if we can get some more information from him on that. It's even and all of that is happening, by the way, at a time when West Indies is preparing for that tour of Sri Lanka. Remember, preparing for that tour of Sri Lanka. Yes, indeed. And we had Phil Simmons, who actually held a press briefing just recently, and we'll also see if we can get some information from Phil Simmons and hear what he had to say, whether he had anything to say rather regarding the T20 World Cup, and looking forward as well to what has happened with the upcoming tour against Sri Lanka. We have seen photos and videos of the guys in net session already, so it seems as if the focus is now specifically on the upcoming tour of Sri Lanka. Certainly, the T20, as far as West Indies is concerned, has been gone. They have been dusted, and players are now concentrating on the tour of Sri Lanka, and then the upcoming series against England in the Caribbean in January, and then we have the regional tournaments that get going around that time. I think February should be the start of the 4-day tournament and things like that. So the focus definitely has shifted from the T20 World Cup. At the same time, we also have the women. The women basically, as they have secured a series against Pakistan, and we really want to congratulate the women on their performance there. Coach Courtney Walsh and company, they have been putting out a lot of work. They have been, as a matter of fact, they have been preparing for at least a good month, 2 months, I should say. And in Antigua, I recall when they sent out the information regarding the team, and we have been receiving regular updates from the West Indies women and their preparation. So they have been, CWI in particular, have been putting a lot of focus in preparing the women for upcoming series. And it's certainly the way to go, investing in the development of women cricket and ensuring that women are fully prepared for these international tournaments. The question will ask whether or not the men are receiving equal. Well, some will say the men are receiving a lot of money. In local terms, they will say they're receiving real dough, yes, a lot of money, the retention and, all the money that's paid to these guys. I think probably the West Indies cricketers are probably the highest paid regional sports athletes. Well, outside of I won't even say track and field to that extent, because when you look at the track and field season and those who can get onto the international circuit, when you compare that to West Indies players, and especially those who play the T20, and also in the other formats of the game, lots and lots of money. They paid heavily, when you compare that to other sportsmen and women in the Caribbean, or men are paid, quite a lot, you have to say. So, there's no excuse. That's why you find sometimes the folks tend to be very, very, harsh on folks, fans tend to be very, very harsh when it comes to the male cricketers. You can understand why, because they figure that in some cases they are paid quite, a bit, and they should be deserving to give a little more in terms of their performances. Okay. All right. So let's hear let's see if we can get hold of Phil Simmons and hear what he had to say regarding the press conference that they held recently.
Good day, all. I'd like to firstly thank you for joining today's first official press conference of the Sri Lanka Test Tour 2021, where the West Indies men will take on Sri Lanka in 2 test matches. Today, as promised, we have head coach Phil Simmons available to speak with you after our first day of training today here in Colombo. Without much further ado, I want to firstly thank you guys for being here, and secondly, welcome head coach and thank him for being here and taking time out of his busy schedule to answer questions. Welcome, coach. If you have questions, I'm asking you to please show an indication by raising your hand in the Zoom group chat. I will look to address these in a chronological order. And the first question, the first raised hand that I'm seeing is from Leighton Levy. Leighton, please proceed with your question.
Morning, Coach. How are you doing? Morning, everyone. Coach,
I'm good.
The last series against Sri Lanka, we had some issues against their spinners. Can you say if this will be one of the focus of areas of preparation leading into this series, given that we're playing at their home now, where their pitches will most likely benefit their bowlers? Can you give us a sense of what the work will be like to address those concerns?
Yeah, I think it would be a heavy dose of spin coming from them, because we saw that when they played in England, they even opened the bowling with a spinner. So we are going to be focusing on a lot on how we combat that spin with the new ball, and then bat as normal after that, because we've played spin all right in Bangladesh. We did what we had to do to score the runs we needed and to win the game. So we need to bring that same sort of mentality that we had on that away tour, and the preparation today started like that.
Another quick follow-up. We spoke about it in the World Cup, but this is a test series where it's even more important now. Time at the crease and rotating the strike so as not to get bogged down. Will that also be another area of focus?
Yeah, it's definitely an area of focus, especially when you're playing against quality spinners. You have to continually change their mode, especially if we have left and right and at the crease. So it is something that we're going to be discussing and put it into practice.
All right. Thank you, Coach.
No problem.
Ryan?
Hi, Coach. How are you doing? Thanks, Dario.
I'm good, Ryan. How are you?
Good. Commiserations on the World Cup campaign. Coach, looking ahead to the Sri Lanka tour, one of your newest players on the team, and maybe one of your younger ones, is Jeremy Solizano. Can you tell me a little bit about his selection? And, I know there wasn't a lot of cricket over the last 2 seasons to judge any cricketers on, but he's been in with the Red Force team for a long time. And your general thoughts on Jeremy?
General thoughts is that compact young opener, and we keep searching for the captain's partner. He looked the best in the recently concluded best v best matches, and so he's got his chance, and we keep our fingers crossed that that's the piece of the puzzle that we're looking for at the top, because we've tried a lot of players at the top there, and it's time we find someone permanent for the captain's partner.
I gotcha. And also, leaving out Shamar Brooks, how challenging was that, given that Shamar has been, while he hasn't set it on fire, he has certainly been a good servant to your team for some series?
Yeah, it's a difficult one, and sometimes the difficult decisions come up in selection, and this was one of them. It's difficult to have to leave him out, but on this occasion, we had to.
And just one final one from me. Virasamy Permaul coming back into the team. Any thoughts on him coming back, and any particular point of plan you have for him, given that you'll be playing on the subcontinent?
Well, the thing is, firstly, we go through these practices and we go into the 4-day game, and then when we get to goal, because we're actually in Colombo now playing the 4-day game, when we get to goal and we see the pitch, we know whether we go in there with a load of spinners like maybe they would, or whether we still have our 2 or 3 quicks. So when we get up to goal, and depends on the performances in the 4-day game here, then we can make that decision.
Just final question from me as well. I know that I'm not sure if you got accustomed to having big squads, given the COVID-19 pandemic and traveling with a bigger team. You think you're pretty much back down to 15 now. Any concerns with that? Would you have liked to have 7, 10 players extra?
Well, it's seen that it happened on a few tours. Yes, you would love to have it, but Cricket West Indies budget cannot afford it. So we're back down to 15. And, we know what this is like. This is what we are accustomed to before the pandemic. So we get back to old ways. And we hope that we getting back to old ways at 15 means that we're getting closer to some normalcy with the pandemic also.
Yeah, speaking about old ways, you'd love to get back to, your good performances in Test cricket, given the disappointment of the World Cup, I'm sure.
Yeah. After a huge disappointment like that, we want to get back to winning ways, and especially winning away, which we did at the start of the year. It'd be nice to finish the year the way we started it.
Good luck, Coach.
Thank you.
Chrisania Young, please proceed with your questions.
Yes, good morning, everyone. I don't know if this
Morning,
question was
Christina.
asked already because I'm a bit late, but I wanted to know where Shannon Gabriel would be in the pecking order for this particular series, given that his injuries did not allow him to participate in the last few series here in the Caribbean, and young Seals who took his place performed so admirably.
Well, the pecking order will be determined by how people bowl in the 4-day game coming up here. I think Shannon is one of your senior bowlers, and actually has been for a number of years the best bowler away from the Caribbean seam-wise. So he does command that respect outside of the Caribbean. So we'll have to see after the 4-day game where things at and know what combination we want to go in, and then we can decide who is 1, 2, 3 in the pecking order.
Okay, thank you.
No problem.
Guys, we'll move on to a question from Lennox Aldred and then a question from Leighton Levy, but I'm asking, please, if you guys could show indication of questions by raising your hand in the Zoom group chat rather than type in a message, please.
Greetings, morning everybody. Blessings, Coach.
Hello, Lennox.
Ryan had mentioned earlier that young Salazar is pretty much the third partner for the skipper. They're all left-handers as well. So I'll go back to the Jamaican opener, John Campbell. There's no cricket being played around the region. How would a player like John Campbell be able to get back into the West Indies team if there's no cricket to judge him off?
Well, we have cricket starting back, 4-day cricket starting back in the new year. So he will have an opportunity to play for Jamaica again. He wasn't available for the best v best match in the 2 matches in Antigua. So he will start back with the Jamaica team in the new year, and then try to force his way back in.
Right, and as I'd mentioned earlier, all of the openers are left-handers. Is that a particular ploy that you are looking for, or is it just coincidental?
It's coincidental. I think we seem to be producing a lot of left-handers around the Caribbean these days. So it's just coincidental.
All right, Coach. All the best.
Thank you, Lance.
Coach, me again. There's a question I wanted to ask at the top. I completely forgot. Joshua De Silva. When he just started out, he was pretty solid down in the lower order, being a significant role player in some significant partnerships for the West Indies. However, in the last few series, in fact, last few games at home, his form with the bat has fallen off. He's averaging just under 14 as opposed to his away average, which is 39. Are you concerned about the dip in form, a significant dip in form? And if any, what impact do you think that could have with the lower order batting, as opposed to what you obtained before when he just came into the squad?
Well, a dip like that is always a concern, but as you mentioned, there his away form is a lot better than his home form. So we hope that is not coincidental, and that's a strength of his. So we are away now, and hopefully he lives up to. And I said again, as he started the year, hopefully he finishes the year like that.
Okay, thanks.
No problem, Nate.
Gavin Richards.
Hi, good morning, Coach. Just
Morning,
a question on Shea Hope. He's getting another opportunity. He's a batsman that has had a lot of promise, or showed a lot of promise, I should say, at the start of his career, but he hasn't, really been as consistent as you would have liked him to be. Any words on Shea Hope and how he's been looking so far back in the team?
Well, Shea's been looking good. He's played well in the 2 games, best games before the squad was selected, and today first practice he looked good. So we working hard with him to see if we can get him back to where he was in England, not just form-wise, mentally, physically, everything. Working hard to try and get him back to that, because we know how valuable a player he can be.
Brandon Collett, please proceed with your question.
Hi there, Coach. Hope all is well.
Hi, Brandon. Good.
Yeah, Roston Chase is somewhat of a batting all-rounder. Will Roston Chase play an important role with the ball in this series?
Well, it's left to be seen. You can't say that if we haven't even gone through the first few practices and the practice match. So as we go along, we will see if that's the case or if not.
And a lot of spinners stocked in the squad. Who is the first choice spinner for the West Indies Test team?
That's a good question. As you say, we have a lot of spinners so far on away tours. Rakim Cornwall has been the number 1 spinner in Bangladesh, as we said at the start of the year. He was there. So we look at the main spinners, and I would suppose Rakim would be your first spinner.
All right, Coach. Go well.
Thank you.
Ryan Bashu, and then we'll take the final question of today's engagement from Gavin Richard, or the final set of questions. Please proceed, guys.
Coach, I didn't get the chance to ask you earlier about your opponent. Sri Lanka, if anything, by their World Cup performance, very good young team, potential, promising. Any words on them and, facing them at home and the challenges of facing a team that's certainly look as promising as this one?
Well, facing them at home has always been a difficult task, and it's no different now. And as you say, it's a younger team, but I think it's going to be close to the team that we had in the Caribbean. Quite a few of the young guys who played in that series are still there, and it's going to be a tough series. We know that when you come to the subcontinent and play against these teams at home, it's always going to be tough. So we have to make sure that in this 4-day game, we get our fighting spirit especially when it comes to batting, because that's going to be the more difficult aspect of this tour.
Thanks a lot, Coach. I appreciate that.
No problem.
Okay, Coach. There's a question on Jaden Seals. It's going to be his first away series for the West Indies. He had a very good showing at home. What can you tell me about Jaden Seals? What sort of words of advice have you been giving him, for this new engagement, this new assignment away from home for the first time?
Well, it's about settling in and getting accustomed to the conditions. Today, first practice, we have a couple more practice for the 4-day game, but in the 4-day game, it's about understanding the conditions will be different to the Caribbean and knowing how he has to bowl in the conditions, especially we're playing here with Kookaburra ball rather than in the Caribbean with Jukes ball, which is a huge difference for fast bowlers. So it's about getting accustomed to that and knowing the conditions quickly enough.
Thank you, Coach.
No problem.
All right, thank you, Coach, and thank you to the media for showing up for today's press conference. We look forward to having you in future engagements. I've sent out the full schedule of press conferences to the media chat, along with the Zoom link and password. So we look forward to Craig Brathwaite tomorrow evening. Thanks again, everyone. Enjoy the rest of your day.
Thank you, guys.
Okay then, so there you heard it from Coach Phil Simmons. Yeah, Coach Phil Simmons speaking. Well, actually, it was earlier today. He was speaking to the regional media, and no doubt, looking forward to the Sri Lanka tour and feeling all the questions as it relates to Team West Indies. So that was Coach Phil Simmons, right? Okay. So then I spoke to you earlier about the West Indies women's team, the West Indies women team against Pakistan. Well, yesterday, the assistant coach for West Indies women, that's Robert Samuels, but he also spoke to the media. He was recapping the first game, yes, the first ODI, and was looking forward also to the next ODI, which was actually played today. And as I told you, West Indies women also won that. But I decided to let you hear what he had to say regarding the West Indies women's. That's Robert Samuels.
Good morning, all back home, and welcome to this Zoom media interaction with assistant coach of the West Indies women's team, Robert Samuels. We'll have a short recap of the first game, and then Coach Samuels will look ahead to the second game tomorrow, so you all can get your questions towards those two items. Please raise your hands, and we'll go in chronological order of the raised hands. Okay, Tamika, go ahead. You have the floor first.
Sorry, it's Ryan. Sorry, I just had to use somebody else.
Okay.
Hi, Nasira. Thank you very much. Hi, Coach. Congratulations on the first ODI victory.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, no problem. I just wanted to start by asking you a little bit about the news that broke this morning. Papua New Guinea, which is in our group, for the World Cup qualifiers, they've pulled out because of some COVID-19 cases. So it leaves just West Indies, the Netherlands, Sri Lanka, in our group. Any do you foresee it impacting anyway now that our group is down to 4? Will this have any effect, or maybe it'll be better? I don't know.
Well, thanks for the question. It will be impacted. Remember, West Indies in this zone will be favorites. So if a team like Papua New Guinea is out, then you'd say going up against West Indies, that team would not have been winning. So once a team drops out and it is lesser than your team, it will be impactful because you would want those points, and you say no, you're missing out on those points. And the more games you play, the better it is for you to qualify. So less games means that you have to go out there and be on your A game every single time. You cannot afford any mistakes, because mistakes will cost you dearly in the end when it's a shorter version or a shorter tournament. So it will be impactful. I'm still looking forward to West Indies going out and playing the A games against everyone. I'm still looking for us to come out victorious and on top in terms of the zone and this competition coming up. But with a team dropping out a shorter version, shorter competition, it will be impactful, and we have to ensure that our A game is up and running.
All right, thanks very much for that excellent response. Just concerning the Pakistan series now, when you had such a polished performance in the first ODI, given that your teams probably scored the runs that you looked forward to scoring, 250 plus, and then winning by a large margin, what else now do you sort of look forward to in the series? Is it consistency? Is it to ensure that you score over 200, 250 again? What exactly are you going to be looking for in this second game?
All of the above, as you mentioned. We are trying to eliminate complacency. We are also trying to better our performance or score out the same amount of runs. We are looking to score 250 plus. We are looking for centuries from our top batters. We are looking for top class performances. We have had 3 centuries so far this season. We are looking for more. We are looking for more performances like a Haley Matthews. Congratulations to DeAndre Dottin scoring her highest international runs, but we are looking for more performance like a Haley Matthews with bat and with ball. So we are looking for everything the same, similar, or better. But we're also trying to eliminate complacency, because after good performances, some teams tend to drop their guard a little bit, but we can't afford to do so.
Thanks, Coach, and good luck for the second ODI.
Thank you very much, sir.
Anyone else has any questions? Gavin, Jelani?
If I could just stick in one more while the guys, if possible.
Sure, go ahead, Ryan.
Thanks. Coach, just to sort of recap to where we're at right now, given the given the circumstances of playing World Cup qualifiers, and should we get into the World Cup itself, where the defending champions, how much has changed in West Indies cricket, would you say, since us winning that World Cup? West Indies women's cricket, by the way.
I understand. I think a lot has changed, not only in the West Indies, but it has changed in the world. I think the ladies cricket has gotten much better. The teams have gotten much better in terms of batting, bowling, fielding. Their performances have been really and truly up. So everything has changed, not only in the Caribbean, but it has changed in the world. And we in the Caribbean need to ensure that our cricket standards have to go up for us to stay in contention in terms of winning another World Cup in the future. So it's not only impacting the Caribbean, it has impacted the world. The ladies are better, the cricket is better, the standard is higher, and we need to ensure that we put things in place in the Caribbean to ensure that our players are developing, growing, and will be able to compete against teams like Australia and England in the very, very near future.
Yeah, I was going to kind of just follow up by asking you about that, because some of the things that I think that you're speaking about is things like facilities, competitive matches, a regional structure. Do we have those things, or is it that's something that yourself, Courtney Walsh, Ambassador Courtney Walsh, will have to be working on in the next year or years to come?
Well, that's above our pay. That's above our pay grade, because this has to come from Cricket West Indies. We can only make recommendations, and I'm very sure that Cricket West Indies has recognized that these things need to be put in place. No cricket was played last year because of COVID, but we are looking for hopefully next year that there will be regional tournaments and higher standard regional tournaments, and probably longer, more matches for the ladies so that they can hone their skills and start performing at higher levels. We had 3 high performance camps this year, and because of that, we have seen improvement in terms of the ladies' statistics. Players are getting their highest individual scores. They are performing better with the ball. The fielding has gotten a little bit stronger. So because of those high performance camps that were put in place by Cricket West Indies, I can say that the ladies are better. They're a little bit fitter. They're a little bit more knowledgeable. They're mentally, physically, technically they have improved, but we are still a far way off from where we were in terms of 2016 being world beaters. So to get there again, we have to be more, we have to do more, and it has to come from Cricket West Indies, and then the team will benefit from this, or the ladies will benefit from these infrastructures and competitions.
Understood. Thanks, Coach.
Garvin, go ahead. The floor is yours, and then after that, we'll have Jelani.
Okay, good morning or good evening, everyone. Coach, just a question regarding the bowling display from the team. I mean, it was a I would say very good performance to limit Pakistan to 208. Any remarks on that? Anything you'd like to take specifically from the bowling?
Of course, you said it's very good, but we are always asking for more. So I would have loved for us to have restricted them to under 180 or just about 180. They still got to 200 runs, and that they will feel as if they restrict us to less runs, they will get it. So I would have wanted us to restrict them to 180, but it's our first outing in Pakistan. The girls are getting acclimatized. They have to get accustomed to playing in Pakistan under different conditions and all that. So it was a decent performance. Haley Matthews stood out with the ball in terms of her all-round performance. 10 overs for 3 wickets and 31 runs. Very good. Connell came back in a second spell and bowled very well, and Selman did well also. The spin department in terms of Mohammed and Joseph, I thought they could have kept down the runs a little bit too much was scored off them. But as I said before, it's the first outing in Pakistan, so I'm expecting those two to come back and bowl a little bit better, bowl a little bit tighter, as the saying goes. And I'm expecting us to try to restrict Pakistan for less runs, because I think because they got to 200, they might be thinking that if they restrict us for less, they can get a total over 200.
Okay, thank you, Coach.
Jelani, over to you, and then we'll go to Lennox.
Hi, Nasir. Thank you. Hi, Coach. I just wanted to ask you. I'm good, man. I just wanted to find out how much does the coaching staff give players roles in the team? Is everybody on the team familiar with their role? Because I know, for example, it seems Rashada Williams tries to bat long, and her strike rate may not be the greatest, but her role is probably to bat long, and Deandra Dutton will bat a little more aggressive and so on. How familiar with the players? Are they familiar with the roles in the team? Do you all tell the players the roles that they have to fulfill in the team?
That's a very good question. Remember, this coaching staff started working with this team this year, January of this year, and we have had 3 camps. So I have just gotten to know the players a little bit better. And when we got together at this camp, we decided that we're heading in that direction. So I will be honest with you and tell you that before now, we did not. But since then, we have started to give players role. And the role that we're giving players is basically the role that they are best suited to play. You gave 2 examples, 2 very good examples. Shada Williams takes her time, try to get in, try to score. So that role she should play. She should be given that role. She's young. She has only played about 5 or so ODI. So she will get better. She will get stronger. She will get fitter. She will understand her game much more. So in the future, her strike rate will go up. Deandra Dutton, veteran, been around for a while. She's more aggressive. I've seen a change in her also. She was less aggressive, timed the ball a little bit more, was a lot more patient. And it pays off in the end in terms of she getting to her highest total. So yes, we're moving towards that. But it hasn't happened because this coaching staff just took over this team this year. But we're heading in that direction. And it is a direction that we must go to, where people have their roles, play their roles, and we tweak it along the way in terms of how they play their roles.
Yeah. And one more question for me. Does the West Indies women's team use the West Indies men's team as motivation? I ask that because we didn't do that well in the T20 World Cup. Does the West Indies women's team talk about, trying to make amends for the men's disappointment? Sorry to put you on the spot like that.
Well, I can say I don't know if that was said. What I do know is that they support the men's team in terms of always knowing, always sitting down, wanting to watch, know exactly what is going on with them. But to be frank, I am not too sure if they said, listen, men's team didn't do well in the World Cup, so they're going to take up the mantle. I haven't heard that. What I do know is that they want to qualify for the World Cup. And then between now and the World Cup, we have a little bit of time. I am sure that will come out, and I am sure they would want to make amends for the men come in the next World Cup. But we have to take it one step at a time, and this is about Pakistan, then into the qualifiers, and from the qualifiers to the World Cup, and then we can speak about that.
Okay, thanks very much.
Cool.
Blessings, coach. How you doing?
Yes, man.
Yeah, man, long time. But my question to you, Sammy, you said that you're pretty much new to the setup with yourself, Cody. And the girls seem as if they're responding to the coaching because we start seeing the numbers coming up now. What have you done differently, you know, in terms of when you came into what is happening now?
I can't say what I've done differently because I'm not sure what the staff before me did. What I can say is that we recognize when we started out, we observed the ladies at the first camp and we saw where they were good and where they were not so good. And we have put things in place to ensure that where they're good, we top up on it, and where they are not so good, we try our very best to keep on working at that, chipping away at it to get them better. We listen to them, we ask questions, we get feedback, and from the feedback, we formulate our sessions and our planning in terms of our sessions also, and put that into the session. And maybe that is the reason why they have helped. But I can't speak to what the other coaches did. I really don't know. But we try to ask questions, get feedback. From feedback and reviews, we try to plan our sessions moving forward. The ladies, they know they have a listening ear. And from the listening ear, we have seen improvement.
Right, and the improvement is right across the board, from the veterans to even the young Williams. I don't want to put too much pressure on you or even her, but you see her rising to a status similar to Stefani?
I see her rising to a status. I'm not too sure it's the status of Stefani. Stefani is a special person about once every decade or so. I won't compare her to Stefani, but she has great potential, and the start that she has gotten is very, very good. She works hard. She wants to improve her game, and she's keen in improving her game. So we are here to help her along that way, and that is why I mentioned earlier that her role, she's a slow starter, but she is solid, and we will ensure that she continues to do so while getting her fitter, stronger, and mentally stronger, physically and mentally stronger. And then tactical awareness will get involved, and she will up her strike rate in the near future, I am sure. But for now, just let her play her game, get used to international cricket. And if she's to be another Stefani, the future will tell.
Nas, can I ask one more question?
Yeah, man, go through.
Yeah, man. Sammy, we noticed that Haley has also dropped down the order and she seemed to like down the order there. Is that something that you're probably looking at for the future?
Yes, that is something that we are looking at, because Haley Matthews is one of the more complete players in the setup in terms of batting, playing both pace and spin. We're also looking at the finish of the innings, where the last 10, 15 overs, we tend to slow down. As a team, they tend to slow down instead of accelerate. Where accelerating is necessary, we tend to slow down there. So I'm of the belief that Haley Matthews, being the complete all-around player that she is, can give some impetus to the back end of the inning. So if she comes in the middle, get set, get in, get a start, and then flow, I think we will get 30, 40 more runs added to the totals that we have been scoring. So it is something that we have looked at. It is something we are looking at. And so we just tried it for the second game. And so far it is looking good. So we'll continue and see where it takes us.
All right, coach. Respect, man.
All right, brother.
Okay, thank you very much all. If there are no more questions, we'll let Coach Samuels get on with his evening. He's had a long day because we had training earlier today. I shall send out this recording shortly via the WhatsApp chat as per usual. So thank you very much once again, and have a safe day back home, everyone.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Okay, Docs. Thank you very much, Coach Robert Samuels, the assistant coach of West Indies women. Well, chasing 154, Pakistan were 111 for 5 at one stage. 111 for 5 at one stage, but lost their last 5 wickets for just 5 runs to be bowled out in 39.2 overs. Well, Hayley Matthews was the most successful bowler for West Indies, picking up 4 for 26 with her off spin. And she was the woman of the match, as we'll say. Yes, she was the woman of the match. Let's hear what she had to say after the match. By the way, as you know, West Indies actually won, the series because they took a 2-0 unassailable lead after winning today's match.
150 plus runs we scored today against Pakistan in a 300 ball match, right? In terms of equation, relatively easy considering going into it. They looked as though they were cruising at one point, but then the captain introduced you with the ball. What did she tell you out in the middle there to pull that back and take us possibly to victory?
Yeah, I think what's really good about the relationship that Skip has with a lot of the players is that she really trusts us. She knows that I understand the game to a certain extent, and she trusts me to bowl in the right areas. I think 2 of my first 3 overs were pretty expensive, going for 15 runs, and she was still able to have enough confidence in me to bring me back on for that 4th over, and then I was able to get the wicket. So yeah, I think the biggest thing for us is trust, and it's really good that we have a captain that we're able to trust. And yeah, like we said, it works in our favor a lot of the time, and it really did today.
First ODI series win away from home in a long time. How good does it feel to get that box ticked out?
Yeah, it's brilliant. I think coming out here, our expectations were pretty high. Obviously being ranked above Pakistan, we wanted to not only win the series but have a clean sweep and win it 3-love. So I mean, yeah, it's really good that we're up 2-love and we've won the series so far, but I think the girls are really into winning that 3rd game, and yeah, hopefully we can have a full clean sweep as the series is finished.
Well said, well said. I just love to hear those, young cricketers, and how they articulate and they speak. I thought Hayley Matthews is very articulate, and she makes sense, and somehow, folks, I recall some months ago when I had Courtney Walsh on the program, and I tried, encouraging fans to rally around the West Indies women team as well. I know everyone is more interested in what the men are doing, and then in some instances they fed up, and when you go on social media you see all these sorts of things, comments and things like that. So follow the women cricketers. I don't think you will have this sort of heartache and and fretting and all these sort of things. Follow the women cricketers, West Indies women, rally around them as well. Okay. I follow the exploits. I know everyone wants to see when the men playing, whether it's on TV, whatever. The women playing as well. It's on YouTube and and streaming on other social media platforms. You can follow the exploits of the women as well. They need your support, okay? As one of the reporters asked Robert Samuels whether or not the women would be looking to make up for the men. I know he put Sammy on the spot. Well, when I say Sammy, they call him Sammy as well. Samuels, yeah, they put him on the spot, but he was able to answer it. I thought he answered it pretty well. whether or not the women are thinking about making up for the shortfall of the men. Hey, guy, you out of place. The women have their thing to take care of. But folks, so that's it, I think, for our program. Unfortunately, we didn't get Mr. Sampath on the program, but we hopefully will try to have him some other time. But on Saturday, hopefully, we will look to pay tribute to Dave McKers and have some of those folks who have played with McKers, to reflect on his life as a former national basketballer, sportsman himself, represented the parish of St. John, basketball, Grenada, things like that. So we'll hopefully have some folks to pay tribute to Dave McKers. Want to extend condolences to his family and close friends. Certainly, he will be greatly missed. He has represented his country well. He was part of a dominating team back then when he played basketball. Certainly himself and Gerald Sincere and all the other folks would have played, and certainly Coach Naka Joseph would have been in a position to pay tribute to him. Thank you once again for being part of our program. Remember that our program on Saturday will be from Austin, Texas. Our program next Thursday, God's willing, will be from New York. Yeah, I'm telling you that early. Will be from New York. And then we still have to decide on the time difference, because here in Austin, Texas, 2 hours behind Eastern Caribbean time, and it's 1 hour behind Eastern time. So, all this, when we come to this time of the year with, daylight saving time and et cetera, all the problems that we have. I think I'm in support of the senator who wants to pass a law that the U.S. remains one standard time throughout the year. And this thing about, daylight saving time, to get rid of this daylight saving time, 1 hour ahead in the spring and 1 hour behind in the fall. His thing is that, no, let's get rid of that. It's affects a lot of productivity, economic activity, et cetera. I think we just 7 o'clock is 7 o'clock, right? 7 o'clock in the US should be 7 o'clock in the US, not 7 o'clock on the East Coast and 3 o'clock and 4 o'clock here and there in the same United States of America. Yeah, come on. One time. Okay. Yeah, folks. So thanks very much once again. Hope to see you on Saturday when we do have another in our TalkSports program. Until then, have yourself a pleasant evening.